Born poor, we gon' die rich. Born poor, we gon' die rich. Born poor, we gon' die rich.
Welcome to Business Corner, where we talk with music execs and producers from every corner of the globe. Today we will be talking with Grammy-winning Aftermath producer DJ Silk. DJ Silk has worked with Dr Dre, Eminem, DMX, Jay-Z, Rick Rubin, and many, many more. Today he will give us an inside look into the industry that has brought us the hits we love, and never before heard facts that some may find controversial. Please welcome DJ Silk. So, first of all, I'd just like to take it back to the beginning. So, how did you realize that you had a gift for music? And when did it hit you?
When I realized I wasn't going pro playing basketball.
Who'd you play? Where did you play basketball? Who'd you play for?
I played for a couple of colleges, man, small colleges, bro. Figured out that I wasn't going to go pro. And then a guy by the name of Big West Crockett, rest in peace, who was Babyface's bodyguard.
Oh, really?
So he told me to go ahead and quit college and come on the road with him and Al Heyman. You know, that he promotes, he used to do the Budweiser Superfest back in the day. So I went on my first tour back then, right out of college, and never went back to school.
So you started right out the gate, right after college. Was that a daunting experience coming right out of college, being that young?
Well, I've been making music since I was in the 8th grade. So, you know, I started making music young. And then I guess I got good. I want to say, let me answer that first question, I guess, for you. I guess I realized I was okay at doing this when my friends said I was good at doing it.
Yeah, they said you had a gift and it just blossomed from there, so to speak.
Your friends are your first critics.
That's exactly right, man. That's exactly right. And what was your first big break?
I remember the first artist that I did an album on or records on that went on a major was Lil Half Dead.
Lil Half Dead?
Lil Half Dead from Long Beach.
Did you
Snoop Dogg's best friend?
Did you produce the Lil Half Dead song "You Had to Be a Hustler"? Was that you?
I had to be a hustler. No, I didn't do that one. I think Clav did that one. You had to be a hustler. I did Dedicated.
Yeah.
Which is the last song on that album. I played keys and certain things on other records.
Yeah.
On that album, for sure. You know, I played keys on Still on a Mission. I played keys on a few other records that's on. I can't even remember the actual title list right now.
Yeah, that was 1994 from.
Yep, 1994.
Yeah, fantastic. So you've been at this for a while. When did you realize you had a gift for music?
When my friends started liking it in high school.
What devices, what software did you use at that time? What recording software?
Okay, now this is crazy.
Yeah, going way back.
This is old. Okay, so
because I understand the process was a lot different back then than it is today.
The first, I didn't know what the process was. You know, to be honest with you, at first, in those years in the 80s, I was trying to figure out how producers made music. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I used to try to figure out how Jam Master Jay used to make Run DMC's beats. Yeah. I used to try to figure that out.
Yeah. Like, was it a lot of trial and error, so to speak?
Well, it was because then you had to have money. Because back in them days, equipment cost a lot, you know? So yeah. I remember me and my brother, we got our first drum machine. We was in the eighth grade.
Yeah.
Because we was in the 2nd grade. We was in 8th grade. And that was a Roland 626.
Roland 626.
It was a Roland 626. It was a little gray thing. You know what I mean? And we tried with that, and I tried to make like drum beats and stuff with it. It
Yeah.
just didn't sound right. Like it was like, damn, how come I can't make records that sound like Run DMC? That's exactly how I thought.
Do you happen to remember the first song you ever made?
I can remember the first beat I ever made. That was I did it, and this is before that drum machine. So
Yep.
the first beat I made was on a computer called a Commodore 64. It had a drum
yes.
program, and we had a friend. I was in a group back then, like we did talent shows and stuff. You know what I mean?
Fantastic.
And we had a friend that said he could rap, and I was in one of my homies' garage, and I made this beat on the Commodore 64. No keyboards, just all drums. And we thought he could rap because he said this rhyme, and we didn't know that he had stole LL Cool J's the original Rock the Bells. He stole it. We never heard the song.
Yeah.
I mean, he memorized LL Cool J's lyrics and came to our studio.
So you got exposed
like
to the talent
rappers rapping LL Cool J's raps.
So you got exposed at the talent show.
Yeah, we did a lot of talent shows back then, just everywhere. And there was a place called The Good Life. That's a famous place in LA for a lot of artists.
Yeah.
Back in those days. That's before Project Blow. That's the second place. But The Good Life was the first, it was like like a herbal smoke shop that the owner used to let the local rappers come in and showcase their talents. And that was in the 80s and early 90s, where Freestyle Fellowship came out of there, Razcast came out of there. Volume 10 with Pistol Grip Pump, he came from out of there. There's a lot of LA rappers that went to The Good Life. And we live in the outer LA. We didn't live in LA, me and my group. We live in the IE. So we were like, we used to catch hell going in there because it was usually upcoming LA artists. And we were the only ones that was from out of LA. They used to go there. But we got respect. When we came, we got respect because we were good.
Is that how you got the Lil Half Dead gig?
No, the Lil Half Dead deal came from an old partner of mine at the time. I'd had a regular job at the time, and he asked me to help him do the Lil Half Dead album. So I played a lot of the keys on stuff, and then he would go down to where they was recording the actual record and place the records. Him, Courtney Branch, shouts out to Tracy Kendrick and Courtney Branch. Those were the executive producers behind Lil Half Dead. And I didn't get to hear the music until I took a day off of work.
Really?
I went down there. I was young though. I was probably, 18, 19 years old, 20 maybe.
What was the reception on your end after that album?
I think, Half Dead did pretty good. He got a deal behind being Snoop's best friend and the things that he was doing. Long Beach was on its way up because Snoop is pretty much who put Long Beach on the map. But HD did pretty good. Half Dead did pretty good. So it's pretty good copies. That was on Priority Records too, by the way.
Yeah, they had Ice Cube, a few other.
Yep. At that time, Ice Cube was there. I don't think No Limit was around then. No Limit wasn't around then. There's a lot of other people on Priority Records, but yeah, Ice Cube was the main person for sure.
Yeah. So that was 94. So take us the next year. So what happens 95?
95, I just, doing my thing, learning the craft, being around the business. Went on tour, the Budweiser Superfest with Big West, rest in peace, Al Heyman. I think on that tour was Babyface, Boyz II Men, Brandy, R. Kelly, Warren G, I hope I ain't forgetting nobody right now. But I got to see how in the industry life was being on that tour. You know, and that we wasn't performing that. I was just there with Big West, and he was showing us what the big artists did. You know what I mean?
Mm. And what was that like for you, being so young, being exposed to that industry lifestyle? Did it take you by surprise? Were you shocked by it?
Yes and no. Like, you know, I felt like I was always prepared for that, for doing this. Like I didn't when I was little, I didn't think I was gonna grow up to be a producer. That's for sure. I had my dreams on other things at the time, but how can I say it? It was like I didn't look at it like oh, I'm in this place, I'm around these superstars, I'm around this, I didn't look at it like that. I looked at it as being, normal. What Wes taught me and Cleb and a homie named Gooch, because he was there with us, we learned what to do, what not to do. You know, don't deal with the groupies. Don't let them go get trapped. You know what I'm saying? By groupies, we learned everything watching the big homies. Pretty much. And we were just backstage, just observing everything. At a young age. So it wasn't like I was geeked to be around it. You know what I mean? It was more like it was natural.
Yeah, naturally, fully prepared. It sounds like you had a really good mentor as well.
Yeah, Wes was the man.
Rest in peace.
You'll see. Big Wes ended up being around Floyd Mayweather for a lot of his career too. Al Heyman turned into a promoter for Floyd Mayweather on all of those fights too. So those guys were big time, and I'm glad that I learned a lot. Well, I'm glad that they had us around to learn a lot, to prepare me mentally for the industry like that.
So Silk, I heard you had quite the successful basketball career in college. Would you mind telling us a little bit more about that, about your college days?
I think I could have, let me say this. I skipped a grade in high school, or before high school, kind of. So I graduated high school at 16 years old. I was a 12-year-old freshman, so I was way too young, like even in high school. Like my whole life was fast. So I was, my father had geared us, me and my brother, to go pro. That's, I've been to every basketball camp damn near on earth in those years. My sister went to UCLA, so I was always at Poly Pavilion, practicing with the college players at the time. Reggie Miller, Pooh Richardson, or Jerome Richardson, you know what I'm saying? I played with the Timberwolves at the time, my sister had introduced us to them. So we used to play like little pickup games and stuff with them in high school. And they were pros. They were fucking legendary pros. You know what I'm saying? So we learned a lot playing against those dudes when they were at UCLA. And then I ended up going to a JC, a junior college, because I was too young. My parents thought I was too young to be on my own at a big time university at the time. So I did like the year at a JC, and then I transferred to Cal State Los Angeles. And then I figured I wasn't going pro from there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
what position did you play mainly?
Power forward.
Power forward.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. I was good. But I didn't have the height. I had like a 30-inch, 35-inch vertical jump. You know what I'm saying? I was good, but I didn't have the height that the position that I was professional at to take that. I would have to be 6'6", 6'7", somewhere around there to play pro in that position like that. And I remember Big West said, "Hey, you ain't going pro, so you might as well just come on tour with us." You know what I'm saying?
And that's where it all started.
Yep. I never went back to college. I enrolled at Cal State LA, stayed a little second, and then went on Budweiser Superfest that year, and never went back to college.
Never went back. So it all worked out for you in the end.
I had to make it work out. My parents was pissed.
Yeah, because you mentioned your dad really pushed the basketball career.
Yeah.
What was that like, having to break it to them about your sudden career change, transitioning from basketball to the music industry? Was that daunting for you, having to break that news?
No, I mean, yes and no. I mean, I was always strong at whatever like let me say it like this. I believe my parents knew that I was smart in anything that I did. I'm gonna literally say that like that. Like everything that I did, my parents knew. They just wanted to make sure that, look, if you're gonna do this, you better make sure that you can make money at doing this.
That's exactly right, because there seems to be a really bad stigma around people that choose an artistic career, especially down here in Australia, where we're so far removed from Hollywood, from Los Angeles, the hub of music and movies, so to speak. So personally, it is very daunting having to break to a parent that I want to become an artist, whether it's a producer, musician, actor, because there is that stigma around how you're going to make a living.
Well, I didn't struggle at it though. Like it was like I dropped out of college, went on tour, came off the tour, start working at my craft. Then I said, instead of me not going to college, I wanted to go to a trade school, music school, So I enrolled, and if I can remember correctly, it was called the Foundation, and that was in Silver Lake, kind of West Hollywood area. And it was like, it was a music school, an engineering school. I stayed there for like maybe 3 months before Berry Gordy's oldest son, the founder of Motown, his son, Kerry Gordy, came to our school, found 3 of us, and then recruited us right out of there. So I wasn't even in engineering school more than 3-4 months tops before I started working for Kerry Gordy at his label underneath Motown. So all of these things happen, it's almost like being at the right place at the right time and being chosen. I got a lot of experience with a lot of older record execs.
It's almost like they sensed the genius, sensed the talent in you.
I mean, I don't know what they sensed, but yes, I guess. Kerry looked at us like, you'll learn more from me. This is what he told us. He came in the classroom and he came there to recruit interns and recruit students, pretty much to work for free. You know what I'm saying? But he came in, he looked at 3 of us in that classroom, which was me and 2 of my friends. He was looking at them first, and then they brought me with him. And y'all 3, come on. You know what I mean? And we went to start working right at the studios right underneath Motown in Hollywood. The studios used to be underground. And we went working for Kerry Gordy right then and there. He said, you'll learn more from me than you will in that school. And he taught us a lot.
What was Motown like back then? Because I remember Motown, they had their big heyday, especially the 70s. They had Marvin Gaye. They had everybody Motown.
I mean, well, we wasn't around none of that. You know what I'm saying? But we were around, the Whispers was still doing things with Motown at the time. I'm trying to remember the name of that group too. Here We Go Again. I can't remember that name of that group. I don't know why right now. But there was a lot of things going on at Motown at the time. We were like we were interns and engineer interns. So our job was to Kerry would bring all these records in, and we would have to do mix downs. You know what I'm saying? Mixing and rough mixes and everything that Kerry had us doing it was just so much stuff. He used to make us. We had the SSL boards back then, the huge boards, the consoles. He used to make us break those consoles down and put them back in one day. And if you know anything about them, there's hundreds of pounds of wires in the back. So he used to make us break down the whole entire console and then put it back together. break it
learn,
down, put it back together. That's the kind of training that we got. Like,
learning
then
the
I
hard
started getting
way.
good at it. I started fixing all the equipment, all the stuff that was broken in the corner, because we didn't have that much personal equipment, because we had a group. You know what I mean? So I used to fix everything, and then Kerry started figuring out, so you can fix this stuff? I was like, yeah. So after that point, now I'm fixing every damn thing.
So how long was that stint in Motown?
That was a few years. Every day. I think we worked for Kerry for at least three or 4 years. And I met a lot of people through Kerry, Gordon. Shouts out to Kerry, for real. A lot of people.
Who were some of the more influential people you met during your time at Motown?
Shit, I met Wesley Snipes. We met, I'm trying to remember everybody's names. You know what I'm saying? Their real names. You know what I'm saying? I want to say I met OG Bobby Johnson. That was in the movie. You know what I'm saying? But I can't remember his name right now, his actual name. Mark Curry, the comedian. Man, there's so many people. We met Barry himself, you know. The first time I ever met Prince, rest in peace, it was through Kerry.
And what was meeting Prince? What was meeting Prince like?
I mean, we were just there as interns, but Prince was, you know, he took us to a session that Prince was having, and Prince was very, the way he handled things was way out. Like Prince, they were like, I don't know, that particular day they were rehearsing for something, and I think it was a new guitarist there. They had like maybe auditioning or trying out or something to be in the band, and Prince could hear a mess up like that. Like,
yeah, he was a really.
We got to witness how Prince did, how he handled his stuff, but that was a good experience. You know, being around Prince is a real genius. So.
What records of Prince did you watch him record?
The record that he was working on that day, I don't think we ever heard. I don't think he ever released that. I wouldn't know what the name of it was, because I don't think he ever released that particular record that we was actually listening to that day. That's something that's probably in his catalog that nobody else has ever heard.
Did you happen to talk to Prince one-on-one after those sessions?
No. That was kind of like the unspoken rule too. Like when you work for somebody that's powerful, you don't get to speak to the upper echelon like that.
It's going to be the fly on the wall, so to speak.
Yeah. See, at this point, I'm an intern. I'm producing, but I'm producing for my own group, and I'm not like out there. You know what I mean? I'm literally working for a mogul at that time. You know, it's kind of like Jimmy Iovine. It's like that. You know what I mean? Me being around Dre like that, it's more like I could say hi Jimmy, bye Jimmy. Can't sit there and have conversations with Jimmy Iovine. Like
keep it extremely brief. That'd be the golden rule. That'd be a golden rule for someone starting out, someone that happens to get through those doors as a first year, second year intern. That'd be the golden rule.
We'll just say speak when spoken to.
Yeah.
And know your place.
So Silk, tell us about your journey from Motown to Def Jam.
Well, after the Motown thing, I did a little Have Dead stuff. That did what it did. Then I had an independent label that was called Street Institute Records with a couple of my partners. Actually, one of my best friends' uncle. And he had a lot of money, like street money, you know, and he was like influential with us as kids. And he had the money, so he was like, let me put my money behind your music. And he went, got a studio, he got everything. Let me bring my friends along. You know what I mean? He had the money. So at that point, we started Street Institute Records. We had Cam that made the song Peace Treaty. We had Cocaine that sung all of the hooks on Snoop Dogg's albums, and as well as Above the Law. We had Booyah Tribe. with us. That's from Carson, the first and only Samoan rap group, and they were a speed metal band. Yeah, pretty much it. We had that was our label at the time, and then a guy, my big homie, and I ended up meeting a dude named J.L. Felony. And J.L. Felony got introduced by his big homie and my big homie. They put us together. J.L. Felony used to be on Def Jam with Jam Master Jay on Jam Master Jay's label. And then they put us together and we started working. And that's when we started making like good records with each other. And then that's what leads me to Def Jam years after that. So
because it sounds like your label had quite the extensive discography. So how long was your label in operation for?
We was in operation for at least 7 years. At least, yeah, somewhere between 5 to 7 years, you know. Let me say that was 1995 to 99, 2000, somewhere around there. Because my friends that had the money, they ended up getting cracked by the feds and went to jail. And that's what, but by that time, I had a hit record out by that time on Def Jam.
And what was that record from Def Jam? So independent label, how did you go from your own independent label to getting picked up by Def Jam?
Well, that was J.O.'s doing, since J.O. had a relationship with Russell Simmons. So me and J.O. lived in the same house at one of our buddies' house named Money Green. And I would be in one room making beats, and he would be in another room reading books and writing. And I didn't know what he was doing around the corner. And every now and then he would come around and be like, hey, can I write to that? And I'm like, go ahead. He was putting himself an album together by all of the stuff that I was doing in the next room. Then we just went to the studio, knocked all that out. He called Russell Simmons. Russell flew him to New York. He handled that whole deal. Met with Russell, played him the music, got the deal, and all I got was a phone call. Russell on the phone. Hey, I'm loving what I'm hearing. Looking forward to working with you. I'm like, now I'm geeked. You know what I'm saying? Because that's Russell Simmons on the phone, telling me he liked what he hearing. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, after that, a few months down the line, I fly to New York. J.O. does a deal. I do a deal under J.O. as far as being a producer for him. J.O. had a 6-album deal that's fucking unheard of then.
Yeah.
And then the first hit came out of that. You know what I mean? Out of that batch.
I just want to talk more about that phone call with Russell Simmons, because a lot of artists would dream to have that phone call. So what do you remember what you were doing that day before you got the call? Was it an ordinary mundane day?
A regular day. A regular day. I don't know what I can't remember what I was doing that day. I think I was driving when I got the call. I was driving somewhere, but bottom line, it was a regular day. J.O. called, hey, and then Russell's in the background. And I know they're driving around in a limo somewhere. I do know that. And then he put Russ on the phone. And he was just like, I'm loving what I'm hearing. Looking forward to working with you. And Russell signed J.O. I want to say, and I hope I'm not mistaken, J.O. Felony was the last artist I think Russell Simmons signed to Def Jam before the merger, before Universal Music Group came and took over Def Jam. So I want to say Russell he pinned us in at Def Jam, gave us a 6-album deal with 6 different budgets, and then he retired and left Def Jam. He gave us that. Then it was Kevin Lyles and Leor Cohen and Tina Davis. Tina Davis was our A&R, and Leor Cohen was the CEO at that time. Kevin Lyles was the vice president of Def Jam.
So it sounds like you just got in before that big merger.
Yeah, we were involved. We were involved in that merger. Luckily, because usually when a merger goes down, a lot of artists that's signed before a merger, most of them get dropped. You know, because it's always new power taking over.
Yeah, new
And a
power
lot of
comes
people
in.
don't want to deal with the new artist, the artist that's there, where they're trying to bring in their people, you know. But Russell had us pinned in, you know, so we remain.
So you mentioned first hit at Def Jam. What was that first hit?
That hit was a song called "What You Gonna Do," featuring with J.O. Felony, featuring Method Man and DMX.
Now, what was that session like? Because Method Man, DMX, JR Felony as well, some of the best the game's ever offered. What was that session like for you personally?
All right, now let me say this. Let me explain this. On that album, I produced 80% of that album. So I produced, it was 18 songs on that album. I produced nine entities on that, plus the intro and outro and all the skits and stuff in between. I produced the majority of that album, and then What You Gonna Do was the last. Let me give credit where credit is due. It was a song that a guy named DJ Rectangle produced. It was a super gangster record, and they couldn't clear the sample. So at that time, that was about to get taken off the album, and then I had the beat that ended up being the song "What You Gonna Do." I was like, "Oh, you like that kind of that stuff? I got a beat that sounds kind of similar to that," and I turned it in. And it was "What You Gonna Do," and they was like, "Okay, that's what it is." Now, when we recorded that record, it was recorded by Kenny McLeod at his studio in Los Angeles. And that studio name was called The Black Hole. And that's where we were recording a lot of J.O.'s records at. And before DMX was on that record, Old Dirty Bastard, rest in peace, was on that record. So we had, it was J.O., Method Man, and Old Dirty Bastard. That's who was on that record originally.
What was it like to work with Old Dirty Bastard?
ODB was crazy, rest in peace. You know, he was fucked up that day at the studio. He was drinking all day. And he came in, and the verse that he actually wrote was so explicit that it would have never been a radio hit. That's for sure.
Oh.
It would have never been that. But he couldn't actually finish the vocals. He was he drank too much. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of a half song. And then Meth was like, "Hey, we gotta get this record done now." So we left it at that. And then let's say months later, we flew to New York. And Jay was out in New York recording the rest of the album. And then some of the albums being mixed. Then I went on and flew out there. And that's where we met DMX, where Tina Davis brought DMX in the studio. He was new. I think he was, and let me correct this for people too. DMX was, as far as I guess he had mixtapes and that kind of stuff out, you know, in the streets, street tapes. But he was only on the song 54321, the remix of LL Cool J, before he was on our song. So we knew who he was by hearing him on the remix of 54321 LL Cool J, after LL took Cannabis off and replaced it with DMX. DMX was super hot in the streets. So Tina Davis brought him to the studio. It was like, "Hey, we just signed DMX," and she asked me she asked me literally, would I take Old Dirty Bastard off and put DMX on the record? That's what she did. That's what she asked. So we was like, okay, well, bring him in. You know what I mean? And he came in and we put the beat on, and me, J.O., Tina Davis, I think Greg Cross was there, and Easy Mo B. Easy Mo B was sitting there, and DMX came in, and he rapped like 4 or 5 different verses. Stupid. You know what I mean? Like from the head. Like 4 or 5 different, he was amped up, and he came in and he just went off on it. And then me and J.O. was like, I looked at J.O. and J.O. looked at me, was like, "Hey, the last one you did, go in there and go ahead and knock it out."
So you had the pleasure of working with DMX before his #1 album, his first debut album.
Exactly. I
What-
lightweight feel a little bit responsible for that. Like what came after the fact.
You take the credit for that. That's
I think I can.
Now, what was working with DMX like? What was his creative process in the studio?
I want to say, let me be honest, I don't know, because he was prepared. Like it wasn't like a creative process. He knew exactly what he was saying and how he was gonna say it, and he just did it. I'm talking about one take. I'm not talking about in there where I could say, well, he did this and he writes this, or because that would be a process. DMX knew exactly what he was gonna say, how he was gonna say it, and he went in there and knocked it out one take. I'm telling you,
One take,
one take.
start to finish.
Yep, one take, and then his backgrounds and everything else. His dog barks and everything.
Yeah.
One take.
Wow, man. Because
One take.
he's considered by many as one of the greats, and rightfully so. But what was DMX like as a person?
For what he was competitive. I will say it's competitive. X every time I seen him. It's like I wasn't it wasn't like I was part of Rough Rider. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm around him constantly. I seen DMX later on in years after that. We hung out when he started residing in LA. I would see him all the time, and then we would hang out every now and then. But he was real competitive. Like every time I seen him, it was a competition. Like literally, you know what I mean? Like I see him at a club or a bar. We're shooting pool against each other. We're playing for money. We're gambling. You know what I mean? Like I seen him at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles one time. He had DMX used to like to drive. He had like a lot of hobbies, like remote control planes, remote control cars, and I was a real RC car dude. I used to keep them with me. So one time I seen him at Roscoe's, and a lot of girls was around him. He driving his little remote control car and shit. I had mine, so I whipped mine out and dropped it in front of him. Like, what's happening? You know what I mean? Like, we literally raced our cars in the middle of traffic, stopping all the other cars, and I whooped his ass that day because my car was faster than his shit for sure.
Yeah.
But he was real competitive. He competed at everything he did.
I just picture you racing the cars in the car park. What was your favorite memory with DMX?
Probably that. Not like in the studio, just the competition. Me shooting pool against him. Me, him, and DMC from Run DMC. You know what I'm saying? We was all shooting pool against each other. DMX was just like that. But I guess that memory, I do got another one where when we shot the video and X didn't remember me. You know what I mean? When we went to go shoot the video for What You Gonna Do, I showed up with all kinds of dudes with me. I'm like 20 deep, nothing but gangbangers with me. You know what I mean? And I pull up, and I didn't know DMX's government name. I just knew DMX. I didn't know his name was Earl Simmons. You know what I mean? So I walked, I was like, who's Earl Simmons? You know what I'm saying? Everybody turned around like, how dare you say his government name? Like, you know what I mean? And DMX got mad, kind of like he looked, then he looked at me, and then everybody kind of rushed over there, like saying, like, who are you? What do you do there? And then like my manager, named was Steven Metz at that time. He walked up and said, hold up, this is the producer of the record. Everybody need to calm their ass down. You know what I'm saying? And that's when we came from out of the middle of our two entourages, you know what I'm saying, and shook and hugged, kind of, you know what I mean? It was like, yeah, I was like, man, my bad. I didn't know that was your government name. You know what I'm saying? I was questioning who's here. And I seen like a piece of paper that had everybody's name. But I didn't know. I didn't know that was his government name.
When you said his government name, did you think things were going to get, because you both had your entourages there, did you think things were going to get a little bit hairy when you said his government name? Do you think things were going to get a bit heated?
I didn't, and I didn't care either. Like, you know what I mean? I had an entourage that was crazy as hell too. So, and I, you know, it's like, to be honest with you, I was deeper than he was. It would have been a bad look for him pretty much that day, probably, because you're in California today. You know what I mean?
So you said you were rolling 20 deep. How many people do you reckon DMX had with him?
Not knowing whoever was probably in the trailer, but around him at the time, the guys that actually jumped was probably a good 7 or 8 dudes. And I had about 15 to 20 with me, literally.
Do you reckon he was still a little mad at you that you beat him in the car race?
Nah, you know. I have more skills than I've been racing RC cars since I was in high school. Trophies and everything. You know what I mean? So I think, and I put it this way, I knew before I pulled my car out on him, I knew mine was gonna win because I had an A scale. For anybody that knows RC cars, I had an A scale and he had the smaller one, and his cars were pretty. You know what I mean? They were all nice and had these little things and little lights on them. And mine had nothing but mud on it. You know what I mean? From being on the actual real track and dirt. So he thought because I pulled out a dirty car that I was gonna lose. Well, my car did about 65, 75 miles an hour. That's how fast it was. You know, gas. You know, so I knew I was gonna beat him. He didn't know I was gonna beat him. So he wasn't salty though. He wasn't a sore loser.
That's good to hear because usually you hear about guys that have that extreme competitive edge, like Michael Jordan,
There's a lot of
for
artists
example.
like that. Sure.
Yeah, like Michael Jordan, for example, talking about basketball. So it's refreshing to see that guy, even though he had that extreme competitive edge, he was still very humble as well. Wasn't a sore loser, took it on the chin.
Oh yeah, I learned a lot from Max. You know, the times that we did talk, he taught me how to pray correctly. I can tell you that.
Would you mind going a little bit deeper into that? Because I understand DMX used to when he used to perform live, he used to end a lot of his sessions with a prayer. But what was that experience for you like?
It just showed me how spiritual he was. You know, where everything had a meaning. Like everything to him had a meaning. Everything. For what I know, and the people that knew him like 100 times more better than I did. You know what I mean? If they see this, they're probably gonna know. So yeah, he's right. You know, X cared about everything too. You know, when I tell you he cared about it, everything had a meaning. Like, he cared about everything. You know what I'm saying? He went that extra pace. Where some people might come around and don't give a shit about certain things, like they don't have maybe a nonchalant attitude. X wasn't like that. He cared literally about everything. Everybody he was around, he cared about. Shouts out to Cookie too. You know what I'm saying? I met Cookie around DMX too. Shouts out to Drag On.
It speaks volumes about DMX's character as well, and what he was like as a person. So how did he specifically tell you how to pray? How did he show you?
He asked me. You know? And it's funny how like you asked me that and then with his voice in my head, I literally remember him going, "Do you pray?" And I was like, as much as I possibly can, you know what I mean? Like, and I try to be honest with him. I'm not an everyday on my knees person, but he was, you know? And he just taught me how to pray. Like, it's hard to explain, you know? Like, don't ask for this, ask for this. You know? Don't talk to God in this manner. Don't do something and then try to talk to God about it.
Do you remember a specific example of how he prayed or what he used to ask God for?
Oh man, it was, I can't verbatim like that because everything that he said and how he prayed was like poetry. Literally. Like the way he prayed, even if he was about to eat, was like poetry. It was like,
from the
I don't know if you've ever been to it. Have you ever been to a DMX show?
No.
Ever?
No.
Have you ever watched a DMX show?
I have.
Then you should know.
Yeah.
Well, you know, he comes out when he prays before he hits that stage. Go back if you ain't never seen him perform in a certain manner. Go back and watch some of his live performances on YouTube somewhere.
Well,
And
because
you'll understand what I'm saying. It's hard to explain. Is everything that he says, he never repeats.
because the set he did at Woodstock '99 is by far my favorite live
Okay, yeah.
DMX performance. Did DMX ever used to pray in the studio before he had to record a verse? Do you ever say a little prayer to himself before hopping in the booth?
Now, really, I don't know. Like when he did the verse for us, he just went in there and did it. Outside of that, I've never been in a studio with him recording. That would be Swiss Beats and his crew. You know, he came to do an appearance on our record. So I was never in a studio with him past that day and mixing in the video of that particular record. Every time I seen DMX after that was be in the streets. You know, he always had a dog with him. He had a big ass old, I forgot what year it was. I think it was a 78, 77, 78 white Cadillac. You know what I mean? That's what I used to see him. I used to see him in LA by himself. No security, none of that. X rode around by himself.
Really?
Famous, super famous by himself. You wouldn't see him with like bodyguards and all that. He'd have his dog with him and that Cadillac, the old school. He would be by himself.
Yeah.
No fear. Nobody bothering him. All that.
Wow.
So I used to see him after that like that, you know? So I didn't do a lot of studio time with him.
Do you remember the most impactful conversation you had with DMX?
I'm not gonna remember word for word. I can remember the day. That might have been the last time. It was either at, I'm trying to get the place for you. That was Dublin's. It used to be, Dublin's was like a bar that's on Sunset. And we used to shoot pool up there. I would go up there because I had a buddy that actually worked there that was the manager of the place, so I was always there. DMX just happened to be there that day. So that was a long conversation. That was about the industry that I won't repeat now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
DMC from Run DMC was there. So that was I learned a lot from them, especially with DMC there. You know what I mean? But that was an industry conversation. You know what I mean? And outside of that, every other conversation was like, you know, decent, you know. But you talking about impactful, you know what I mean? That I don't want to repeat any of that, but that would have been the last conversation I had with him. I was hoping to see him again right before he passed. The latest album that they was gonna just drop on him, I went to with my boy Z, named Z Riddler. He brought me back around there. Swiss wasn't there that day, I think, but D was there, and that was at Paramount Studios, and I went while they were mixing down the latest DMX album before he passed away. And I was hoping to catch him there.
You mentioned that when DMX prayed, he told you that, you know, don't ask for this, ask for this. Do you mind giving us just a little example of what he used to ask for, what he didn't ask for?
One thing I can remember is don't be selfish when you're talking to God. You know, when you're on your knees praying for people, you can't be selfish for yourself.
So don't ask for, you know, success for yourself, materialism.
Yeah. Don't be selfish. It goes all the way across the board, you know.
So more pray for others, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic.
99%. In other words, you can ask for wisdom. You can ask for knowledge.
But don't ask for things that's to be given to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very insightful. Thank you for that, Silk. Did he pray with you? Like, did you pray with him? Did you guys pray?
It was one time that he prayed and I listened and had my head back. You know what I mean? Yeah, he prayed with me like that. Yeah.
And was that a very spiritualistic experience for you? Or did you feel something like that?
I mean, I understood how his soul was, you know. I understood what he was here put on earth for.
Sounds like he understood that purpose as well.
Yeah, I believe that I believe he knew that.
He was definitely a very special individual,
Mhm.
and it's a shame he was taken from us so soon.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said that about myself.
Mm.
I'm not here for me. I'm here for everybody else. I've always said that about myself.
Yeah. So it's
Said
like,
it a couple of days ago. You know what I mean? Like, I'm glad to be able, when I do leave Earth, it's what I leave Earth with, what I leave to Earth. You
well,
know, music.
because you would have blessed millions of people with your great work, with your talent, with your skill.
I mean, I appreciate that. I know that the people ain't gonna know me personally, but I know as long as I've made somebody party or enjoy themselves in some kind of way, then that's what my job is.
Yeah, you were the mastermind behind all of that. So, what was the context of your conversation with DMX regarding the industry?
Um, it was real deep. There's certain things that I can't really go into, but I will say it was about the evils to look for, you know, before you step into this realm, you know, in the industry. What to do, what not to do, what to look for, don't, what's the words? Don't kind of like don't sell out yourself, you know? Don't
Don't
sell
say
yourself. Don't sell yourself to get into this game, you know, or to gain profit. Be yourself at all times, basically.
so
But without
don't
people,
sell your soul.
yeah, don't sell your soul for what you think for money, for
Yes.
uh, levels, trying to get into the next level of the game. Don't compromise yourself.
So unfortunately, I feel like a lot of artists do sacrifice their soul for
Exactly.
fame, riches, even women, whatever it may be.
Yeah, you never know what you'll get out of that.
Mm. No.
Don't do something that you'll regret later. Bottom line.
So, Silk, what was your next big hit after the DMX joint?
After that, I don't know. I don't know about being a super hit, but I think it did well. That would have been Hotter Than Fish Grease, which was the second single off of the next album that would have been on Def Jam before Jail decided to leave the label. So Hotter Than Fish Grease was doing well on the radio. Because What You Gonna Do, I thought was kind of like a fluke at first. Like I knew it was a good record, everybody liked it and all that. It got nominated for the best single of the year and all that stuff. But I was like, oh well, maybe it's a fluke, And then we put out Hotter Than Fish Grease, and that was doing very very well also. And then JL decided to leave the label.
So did he leave the label before his contract was up?
Yep.
Yeah. Would you mind, if you can, do you know what that was over? Was there a dispute?
I think Jay will be the best. Actually, you better have I don't want to speak for him.
Yeah. That's right. I understand.
I definitely don't want to speak for him on that one.
No.
Yeah.
So you said you were at Def Jam, so before and after the merger. What was it like working with Def Jam before the merger, and after the merger with Universal Music? What were the main changes that you noticed?
Now I'm gonna say some shit that's gonna be controversial, and I don't care. Before the merger, I believe that Russell Simmons cared.
No one's
and
disputing that.
I think I could vouch for a lot of people that knew Russell longer than us or longer than me. Jail knew Russell Simmons for years. You know what I mean? Before I got involved with Jail, but the time that I knew Russell, he cared. He cared about everything. He's a good person, and he did everything he could to help every one artist that he was responsible for or that he put in the game. I think after the merger, now you got a corporation controlling everybody's livelihoods or everybody's contracts and stuff. So yeah, I believe that when the robots started running the company, yeah, they don't care. Robots don't have emotions.
So
You know, I think
the-
LL Cool J figured that out. I think he was upset. And I'm not trying to speak for other people, but I believe he was upset at a certain time. You know, I think I want to say for a fact Ludacris was. You know what I'm saying? And you know, after that, I thought that some of the employees at that time didn't care about the people that was before there, like people like us, which were not as big as the other guys, like Method Man, Red Man. You know, those dudes kept the lights on. Like when we got there, Warren G had left already. So Warren G sold 5 million records, made them so much money, and then he went on left and started his own label and did his own thing. But Warren made Def Jam tons of money. Redman, tons of money. Method Man, tons of money. You know what I mean? It's like these people is who kept the lights on in this building. So I believe when the merger kind of went down, they hired a whole lot of kids that didn't know nothing about the legacy of the company. And they didn't care about because I remember going to Def Jam in New York, and I went to go see Lenny Santiago, I think that day, Lenny S. that day. And I was trying to get with him to Pace the Beats to see if I could get on Jay-Z's The Black Album. You know? And I show up, and I was walking through the hallways on the way to his office, and I was like, damn, they took all of the plaques down off the wall. I felt like, not Lenny and them, but the other staff that was working there, I just felt like without Redman and Meth and all these other people that put these plaques on these walls, y'all wouldn't even have an office to come work for.
the legacy almost got pushed aside.
Yeah, it was corporate after that. You know, and I think Jay-Z took over shortly after that. And then it changed a little bit again when Jay-Z said, well, fuck it, I'll take over and see what happens. And then now you get the Kanye's, you get the, you know what I mean? Because when I first met Jay-Z, he was still on Priority, A Reasonable Doubt and all that. And I remember him and Jail talking a whole lot because Jail was on Def Jam. Jay-Z was still on Priority. And he was trying to figure out how to get to Def Jam at that time. That's why I like Dame Dash. Dame came in to rock the boat the way he was supposed to. I would have loved to have, I wish Dame was over our project. I wish that J.O. had teamed up with Jay-Z and we did Rockefeller maybe. I was hoping for something like that. And to be honest with you, Jay-Z made that offer. I sat there and heard Jay-Z ask J.O., let's go on a Hard Knock Life tour and promote. But J.O. wasn't trying to do anything for Def Jam because Def Jam wasn't trying to do anything for us at the time. Like, I'm talking about with the business and the contracts, you know what I mean? We should have went with Jay-Z. It would have been a whole different outlook because Jay-Z did say, hey, just come with us. You can perform because DMX is over here with us on this tour. Method Man is on this tour, and J.O. could have performed the record, and he would have been a whole different person how we went with Jay-Z in there. And Dame was calling the shots. I love the way Dame went in there and rattled him up like that.
Would you mind going a little bit deeper into that? Would you mind telling us how you met Jay-Z?
I mean, that's a little different. I met Jay-Z. I had a manager named Demo who was friends. He went to college with Darian Dash, which is Dame's cousin, which is Stacey Dash's brother. Okay, so that's kind of how I met Jay in a sense, and Dame. You know, I met them like that. I flew out there to deal with J.O. one time, and Darian sent somebody to the airport to pick me up from Kennedy. And, you know, at Def Jam, I always have this guy out there with your name on the thing, you know what I mean? Like my driver. And when I got there was 2 different drivers there. And there was a black dude and a white dude. And I was like, I know who this dude is, but this is black dude that say DJ Silk on the sign. I was like, there might be another DJ Silk around here. You know what I'm saying? So I sent my manager, was like, go ask him. He was like, yeah, you the one who did jail stuff? I was like, yeah. He said, well, this is compliments of Rock-A-Block. Darian's Dash Darian Dash's label was named Rock 'em Lot. That was the Sporty Thieves and a couple other groups that he had on there. And so I told those dudes, go to Kick Rocks. I'm gonna roll with them. You know what I'm saying? So I ended up going to the studio. Easy Mo B was upstairs. When I got to the lab, I can't remember the studio name, but when I got there, Sauce Money, LES, and Lil Kim was doing a record. Then I went in with Darian. And when everybody found out that I'm the one who did the What You Gonna Do record, they quote unquote like the gangster shit. You know what I mean? So that was the first time that that a person paid me cash to make a bass line. I can tell you that. You know what I mean? He pulled up a record and said, "Hey man, I need one of them gangster bass lines." I said, "All right." And they had a Juno 106, so I programmed a little nice sound in there. And he played the record, and I played the bass line, and then he threw me a whole lot of cash. I remember, I can't remember how much it was. He just threw me like a wad. Like, the wad was like this much. You know what I'm saying? He just said, "Hey, good looking," just threw it at me, and I grabbed it, put it in my pocket, like fuck it. You know what I'm saying? That's how New York people treat you like that, like quick. So Jay-Z poked his head in, and you know what I'm saying? And Dane, they took care of my whole stay. That was my first time in New York, kind of like that, staying for some time. And they took care of my whole stay, treated me like family. But Jay had to go on, he had shows to do, so he didn't hang that long, you know? Mm-hmm. But he showed us respect, you know what I'm saying? It was cool. And I hung with Easy Mo B most of the time.
Did you happen to see Jay-Z in the studio during that time?
No, not him laying vocals and stuff like that, nah. He poked his head in, you know what I mean? Said what's up, Dame was around, poked his head in, you know. And that was pretty much it. You know what I'm saying? It was more like those dudes, like I said, like sometimes you play your part, you play your role. You get what I mean?
Did you ever have a impactful conversation with him, whether it be about the music industry or the creative process in general?
No, I would listen to him, have conversations with J.O. It was like it was more like him and J.O. were cool with each other, and they conversate. I sit back and I'm watching them, listening. You know, that's what I'm saying. You play your role. You don't interject. You know what I mean? I sat back, I observed, I learned, listened, stuff like that. And it wasn't more like interjecting, with your opinions and your thoughts, because I'm learning. These two dudes been in the game and they know what they're talking about. So I sat back and learned.
What was a key takeaway for you watching those conversations? So what's something you learned?
What not to do and what to do, once again. Like Jay-Z asked J.O. if he wanted to come on a Hard Knock Live tour, which I would have went, and J.O. said no. And I sat there and was like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we need to be on that fucking tour. You know what I'm saying? But his decision. I can't say nothing about it.
What were the to-dos and the not to-dos that you learned from that conversation?
I would have went. I'm saying it like this: like, if you're upset at a company, let me make this broad for like new artists, whatever. If you're signed to a label and you're upset at how the label is handling business for you, like most of the time you sign to a major, you gotta have your own crew. They that's what they do. They're not gonna hold your hand and walk you through your career. You have your own crew that has your back, that's speaking up for you. Like I watched Master P do that at Priority. You know what I mean? I want to say that Dane, even though it's a lot of people that didn't like Dane with how he talked to people or whatever the case may be, but me watching the things that he did, like on film per se and stuff like that, and because I never had a chance to personally see Dane handle business outside of the things that we seen, but I would have loved that type of person, that type of energy, and I got that energy now about my artists. Like, if you don't fully love my artists, I don't want to do business with you. You know what I mean? So it's like, you want to have that at a label. Because every artist that signs to a major, they believe that the company likes them. You know, we want to sign you, but after you sign it, you're just a number. You're just a number in an account that's accruing interest. You're either a tax write-off, or you need somebody that cares about you. And sometimes it's not. Do you have your own crew? Once somebody cares about you, soon as this record doesn't do as well as you thought it was going to be, now everybody's like, See, Rockefeller wasn't that. My perception of it. You know what I'm saying? Me watching like Dame push that label, pushing Jay-Z like that. That was a Dame Dash thing. That was him doing that.
Did they
cussing out everybody when they was fucking up? Yes.
Did they take the Russell Simmons approach to how they handled Rockefeller? Like you said, Russell treated artists with care, with respect, with integrity.
Yeah, I believe Russell was like that too. Like I wasn't around, we was kids when Russell started his shit, but we knew, yeah, Russell pushed that shit. Rick Rubin and Russell teaming up and all that. Yeah. I mean, Russell Simmons is a forefather of rap. I mean, there's no way, even though we know who's the forefather of actual rap is, years before that, it's other artists and stuff, but I'm talking about as a company owner, an executive, a founder of one of the biggest rap labels in history. How do you think he did when nobody had faith in the rap game in those years?
Well, he's undisputed godfather of rap.
Yeah. I mean, then you got they'll never take Luke Skywalker out of that Skywalker Records. He's the Luke Skywalker is the father of the independent, the subsidiary company. He's the father because he owned his own shit, his own pressing, a distribution house, and everything. So and then that Luke and Russell and them type of dudes is who made Eazy-E be who he was, Master P be who he was.
They laid the foundation.
Oh yeah, because I watched Master P go through. I was sitting in Brian Turner's the lobby at Priority when Master P came in one day, and he had 12 people with him, and I seen him personally go, all right, this person do radio. And he put his people with the people at the label to make sure everything that he contracted, the things he had on contract, to make sure those things happen, he put his people with the label. So it's always somebody watching every aspect of No Limits business within Priority. That's why Master P ended up making a half a billion fucking dollars.
Now, what was Master P like as a person? Because Master P really revolutionized, especially the way records were produced, especially on a financial scale.
I did one record with Master P, or for Master P, and that's a record called Sick. That's on the West Coast Bad Boys, E40. It's me and E40. And Sugar T is on that record, if I'm not mistaken. Sugar T, E40 and me. I did that for the Training Day movie, and that deal fell apart or whatever. And then Master P ended up buying the masters to that. Or actually, I own the masters. I take that back. But he licensed it and put it on that record. That was the first time I did business with Master P, and I did good business with Master P. So he wanted to meet me, and that's how I met him, doing good business with him. But he was a straight up down business person, not greedy, not the type to not getting over on you and all that, but you got to know what you're asking for, how to ask for it, and how to do business with it. I'll say that. And that's how I was literally turning in the edits and the mix down of the actual song the day I seen what I just told you about when he came in with him. That was the day I turned into Brian Turner himself.
How did your Def Jam days come to an end?
How did my Def Jam days come to an end? J.O. decided to leave the label as I was doing a song called Sick for Anton Fuqua for the movie Training Day. That happened in the same week. I just got a call from Def Jam. Linda Burke and Todd Moskowitz called me and told me that jail has requested to leave the label, and they were going to fly me out there to clear the books with me. And that's how I found out. In the meantime, I was working with E40 at that time.
So was this about, because you said Training Day, if I'm not mistaken, that came out in 2002. So
somewhere around there,
yeah. So this is around those days.
Obviously, this is before the movie came out because I was making the song that was supposed to go in the movie.
Yeah, it's probably 2001 we're talking about here. So you went from Def Jam Records to Jive, working with E40. Would you mind telling us about your E40 days?
I met E40 through one of my friends named DJ Minus, who worked at Jive. I'd already done a song called Pimp Shit for Too Short before I started working with E40. That went gold in 30 days. Then I wanted to, it's like what I did was, after the What You Gonna Do record, which was a hit for me, I decided that I wanted to work with every artist that I wanted to work with.
Yeah.
You know, I started hitting all the artists that I wanted to work with, ever do a record with, period. And it ended up happening like that.
Did you work your way down all that list? Were there some artists you unfortunately couldn't work with at the time? Or did you manage to work with all of them?
Almost. I think I did a pretty good. I'm trying to give a percentage on it. Maybe 82%, 83% of my list.
Out of the names on that list, who was your most memorable collaboration?
All of them. I won't put like a most memorable. You know what I mean? Yeah. Things happen in different years. You know what I mean? So I can't put a most memorable.
That's
I
right.
enjoyed doing records with Short. I enjoyed doing records with E40. E40 is like family to me. You know, the whole Sick With It crew, which is his label. You know, all of them treated me like family. You know, most of the Def Jam treated me like family, or at least our crew present. So.
What were some of the more memorable things you and E40 used to talk about during those studio sessions?
Oh man, all kinds of stuff. I mean, that's too much. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just 40's just a cool dude. Very easy to work with. You know, what I love about him is he'll give you a choice. Like every time I did a record with him, he would ask me who I wanted on the record. You know?
And he'd make that happen?
Like, yeah, like the last record I did for him was called it's called What's Smoke. That's E40, Snoop Dogg, and That's a Corrupt with Dog Pound. That's a Corrupt, Cocaine is on the hook. You know, I did the beat, had Coca do the hook, then I sent it to 40, and then 40 asked me who I wanted on the record. And he gave me kind of like a little choice. So I said, you know what? Because I was trying to do, because I know Snoop, I never did a record with Snoop. You know what I mean? And then that's the first record I did a record with Snoop on. You know what I mean? Like I did records for Snoop. It just never, he never put them out like that. You know what I mean? So that was the first record that I got with Snoop that actually did come out. You know, the first one. And because I asked for, I said, man, you know what? Put Snoop on this. Because I remember when I seen Snoop, I go, I gotta do a record. I told Snoop this. I said, I gotta do a record with E40 and have you as a feature on it just to do a record with you. You know what I'm saying? So and then he took that same record and he put it on the last Dog Pound album that they put out. So I got the same song on two different albums.
Fantastic. We'll talk more about Snoop Dogg and your further collaborations with him, but I just want to touch more on E40 just for a moment. Did he give you any wise words of advice?
All words should be 40 is wise words.
Anything that
So,
that stuck out, that
man,
sticks out?
it's hard to pick anything off the top of my head like with 40. We talked so much over the years, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say like he gave me advice because he never had to per se. Like, you know what I mean? Like, before he treated me as a music equal.
So, Silk, we've touched on your days at Motown, the days of your independent record label, your time at Def Jam, time at Jive Music. Let's talk about Aftermath now. So, how did that happen? How did that eventuate?
I got involved with Aftermath with a guy named Slim the Mobster, you know, who was an artist, a writer for Dr. Dre, and I did records for him and went over there and I went in really supporting Slim and not trying to be like do records for Dr. Dre himself. And it ended up happening like that. Slim picked a record to write to that I literally did for Jay-Z and Dre, and that ended up being a song called Talking About Diary that's on Copy soundtrack.
And
that was the startup.
And was that the song you were Grammy nominated for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Grammy nominated and Oscar nominated.
What was that like? How do they let you know when you're nominated for something like that? Do you just get a call up with Russell? Do you just get a call out of the blue? Is it an email? Did an intern at Aftermath tell you? Did Dre himself tell you?
I think, well, for the Grammy nomination, I think it was just media. You know, like I woke up the next day or one day, I mean, and you know how they list the nominations of the year. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if Dre knew it before that, but that's how I found out. Like, it was the little card that they show you where who's nominated for what category and all that. And that was made public. But Oscar nomination, Dre's attorneys called me for that because they needed, just in case you won, which they know who's going to win or not, you know, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, they run a background, they want a criminal background check on you at the Oscars.
Really?
So, yeah, they want a criminal background check for you to attend the Oscars. I mean, for us, I don't know about Dr. Dre, you know what I'm saying? But since I was a producer of the record that Dre is on as an artist, for me to be able to attend, they did a criminal background check on me. And you had to sign these documents for the Academy Awards. Yeah.
That's really interesting.
And that year we went up against, because I knew we weren't going to win the Oscar for the best music. You know what I mean? I knew that because who won that year was Wiz Khalifa for
Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious. Yeah. And that was a huge ass record. So, you know, I knew we weren't going to win per se, you know, on that. But the legal department calls you on that. You got to sign some stuff and all the documents they want you to sign hours before, you know, to turn into the Academy Awards, that kind of stuff. That's a big deal.
And that's really interesting. I had no idea about that process. So thank you for giving your insight to that. Now, do you remember your first ever meeting with Dre?
My first ever meeting Dre was when I was like 16, 17 years old. That goes back to when we talked about being on the Budweiser Superfest. I met Dre then.
So already on his radar.
Me and my homie and told Dre that we was going to be the next up and coming. And then 15, 16 years later, I ended up signing to Dre or Aftermath.
How did that happen? Did he happen to remember that time at the Budweiser?
I don't think so. I don't think you remember that. And to be honest with you, I didn't say anything to him, but like I was that kid that day that, you know what I mean? Like I didn't even do that. You know, I worked for Dre probably 2.5 years, almost 3 years before I even did a deal with him.
And how did
I
that
asked Dre for my deal.
So you asked Dre for your deal?
Huh?
So you asked
Yeah, I
him.
asked for my deal.
Yeah. Was this after you worked with Slim the Mobster? Were you working with him for that period of time before the deal?
Well, at the same time, and still doing that. Like, you know what I mean? Like Slim has signed a deal as being an artist and a writer. You know, and we were there supporting him. And then I started doing records where Slim was writing and Dre picked four for the then at the time the Detox album. And since I knew that I had placements that were gonna stick at the time, I decided, well, let me just ask him for a deal. Literally. So one day I came to the studio and I asked him, and Dre said, "Yeah, you're looking good so far as a solo producer per se." You know what I'm saying? You know, not him, not Dre, not a part of his actual group. You know, because my job was I would do beats and turn them in and see if you like them or not. You know, so without me being a part of his personal production squad. I have 4 records that he used, and after I knew that I had those 4 placements, I told him I needed structure. After all these years of not being signed to a major, and then I didn't have management no more, I was handling my own business and stuff. So I asked her, I said, "Hey man, I need structure. I need administration, you know, and stuff like that." So I was asking for a deal. Hey, can I get a deal?
So you mentioned something very interesting there. You mentioned the Detox album, which has never come out yet. How involved were you in that album?
I mean, the Detox album goes on for years. So it's years before me, you know what I mean? And I'm not going to say it's years after me because you'll never ever, I don't think nobody will ever hear what we call the Detox, you know what I mean? But he has years before me, but I was involved in the years of when I came around. So that was probably between 09 and 012, you know, on the Detox before he said there's no such thing as a Detox album, you know what I mean? And how involved was the involvement was the records that I did. You know, I had 4 supposedly, or at the time, that was still written on his little, Dre has his little, like, not chalkboard, but his little marker board of songs that he's currently liking. Some things go on, some things come off, you know, that kind of stuff. But some of my songs remained on that list for years. You know what I mean? Like Talking to My Diary, which is the single of the Compton soundtrack. The first song that you hear in the movie, and the last song you hear in the movie in the trailer song. Okay, I did that 9 years before the Compton movie even came out.
Really?
And Diary was part of the Detox album, along with 3 other records.
9 years.
So that'll tell you, you know what I mean? So it was things that was on the so-called Detox album that ended up on Kendrick Lamar's album. I mean, I know I'm safe to say that now, you know what I mean?
Would you mind going a little bit deeper into the Kendrick Lamar side thing? What songs that were supposed to be on Detox went to Kendrick Lamar?
Compton. The song called Compton.
Oh, so the Compton?
Compton. Ain't no city quite like mine. That Just Blaze produced.
Yeah.
If I'm not, I don't want to mess it up. I think Just Blaze did that record. The beat. And Kendrick is on it. That used to be a Dr. Dre Detox album. That's on Compton is on, I think, Kendrick's first album, I believe.
Yeah, Good Kid.
First album. Yep.
Yeah.
Good Kid, Mad City, whatever. The song Compton, that album used to be a Detox record. The beat.
Were there any other songs on that Kendrick album that were supposed to be on Detox?
Recipe. Was Recipe on Good Kid, Mad City?
Was Recipe? I believe it was.
That one.
We'll fact check that.
That song was a Detox album. So.
It might have been his album at Section 80. That song might have been on.
Okay.
Because that was
I
the
know
album he did before Good Kid, Mad City.
Kid, Mad City was Kendrick's first album on a major.
Oh no, mate, yeah, he had good. Yeah, I think Good Kid, Mad City was his first major.
Yeah, that's the first album.
But then he had Overly Dedicated and Section 80 before that, before he hit the major.
Yeah, but it wasn't on those albums.
Okay.
That was after.
Now, are there any other songs from Detox that are out there that we can listen to right now?
That I know of, I mean, it probably is. You know what I mean? But maybe not when I was around. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't know. Like there might be a couple of songs that was on Kane's album that probably Dre had. You know what I mean? Because you got to realize there's years of the Detox album. Years. Like it's almost 10 years of the Detox album before I even got there. Like Dre was just stacking. There's thousands of records on there. Well, Bishop Lamont was there. Was a lot of records there. You know what I mean? There was a lot of producers and artists that was there way before I got with Dre. So the Detox could go on forever. It could have been all kinds of shit that was on there. So.
And what's it like being in the studio with Dr. Dre? What's his creative process like in the studio?
I don't know. Dude's a genius. Dude's a genius, man. One thing I can't take from him, he's a genius. He's like a genius. Like anything that you bring in there and he touches, oh, it's gonna be 10 times better. Now that's outside of the stuff that he does. You know what I mean? Say you brought something in and needed his help on it or something. It's just like the Kanye. I was there to see him do a lot of the Kanye record, the gospel album.
So Dr. Dre helped Kanye with Jesus is King.
Is that the name of that album?
Yeah, his gospel.
The gospel album he put out.
Yeah.
It's the. Remember Kanye put that album out and then he put another version of that album out.
Yeah.
So the second version of that album is the Dr. Dre version. That totally kills off the first one Kanye did.
Did he do that whole album or just certain songs?
Song, everything, whole fucking album. Like Dre, yeah. I kind of don't want to say it because if Kanye see the shit, he gonna be pissed off. You get what I mean? But in my opinion, it was more like this. Dre took the songs that Kanye did on that first album release. It seemed like Dre took those records, did what Kanye should have did, and then put his shit kind of in. That's the most produced album that I've heard.
Were you in the studio while that was taking place?
Some of them, a lot of the records. And then Dre let me come there when he was mixing the whole thing, for sure. So I was there during the entire mix. I wasn't there for the production of every single record, but I was there for like the final touches and the final last songs. I can't remember the names, but I was there for some of the record, you know what I'm saying, the production of it. And then the rest of it I heard when I got there because I was there during the mix. And it was ridiculous.
Did you
Shots out to Focus, YouTube, Damn Joints, and the rest of the crew that was in there with him.
Did you happen to be there when Kanye met Dre?
I was there a few days when Kanye was there, yeah.
So the days you were there in the studio when Kanye West was there, what was that process like for you?
I mean, to me, it's all normal. You know, good music being made. You know, Kanye's a pretty quiet dude. When he was around Dre, as far as what I see. I mean, Dre's a perfectionist. Me personally, I didn't see no input from Kanye outside of like vocals. But Dre's a perfectionist, so.
The Dre did everything else, Kanye, he just stuck to the vocals.
I'm pretty sure Kanye said certain things, you know. I wasn't there though, like, you know. Kanye's a hell of a producer himself, you know. Kanye's a genius, you know.
Did you happen to catch a glimpse of Kanye's creative process in the studio?
Um, no, not really. Not really. Like I would always arrive when I did come, because like I said, Dre allowed me to be there during the mixing. I was there a few days for like the final touches up and certain things on the records, that kind of stuff. But I wasn't there while Kanye's doing vocals. You know what I mean? And if I was there, I would have left anyway. You know what I mean? I would have left the room and let Kanye do his vocals.
You think?
You know, not sitting there, being one of the crew in the back watching them do vocals. I would have left and went out and hung around in the lobby or something anyway.
So what was your favorite moment of seeing Dr. Dre create in the studio and your involvement in that process?
I don't know. I don't have a favorite moment with Dre in the studio creating. I really don't. I look at, you got to realize that I was making records for Dre every single day, 3 to 10 songs damn near a day for damn near 15 years. So I don't have a favorite moment.
Any moment of genius that you remember that sticks out vividly?
No, because everything is genius. You know what I mean? Every single thing is genius that's in there. Like Dre can literally, there's no, and I'm gonna say it like this, care who get pissed. There's no other producer that can go in the studio with Dr. Dre and outplay him with records. Nobody.
Unmatched.
I don't care who you think you are. You cannot go in the studio with Dr. Dre and say, I'm gonna push play. You know how they got the verses right now? Where producers be having verses? Verses is cool because you in the verses you got to play things that is already out. So imagine if you did a verses where you could play anything you wanted, right? You will never ever be able to beat him. I don't care who you are.
So
you can ask any producer in the game. They can't beat him. So everything that he does is of such quality that a lot of it is over the head of the youth. The youth have no idea what
the legacy.
He'll start playing some shit. Oh my God! Like you can't. Not even me. Like, what I can say is, I like when I go to the studio and I'm pushing play on something that I like, and if he likes it too, or he understands what I brought to him, or critiqueness, or if you like it, or whatever the case may be. What I can say is, I enjoy when he understands what I do. I enjoy that because then that makes me feel like he understands what I did. You know what I'm saying? He gets it. Some people don't get it. You know what I mean? You go see this wild kinds of people that don't get it, but he'll get it, even if it's half a track. There might be just an idea, like a 10%. And I'm not afraid to do it. A lot of people are afraid to pay him an unfinished song. I'm not. I don't care. Like, so I'm gonna play how I feel, and if I feel it's dope, I believe 90% of me tells me he's gonna feel it's dope.
So he can see vividly what the song will sound like, even if it's only 10% finished, like you said.
Yeah, I believe he can. I mean, and I'm saying that. Most likely it's like that with everybody's music, but it's definitely with my music. Like you're only gonna get a certain amount of time to play something. You can't go in there and play something. He'll hear like the first 10 seconds, and if it ain't good, he's gonna turn it off.
So just to wrap things up, Silk, thank you very much for coming in today. We understand you're a very busy man, so thank you very much for sharing your time, sharing your stories as well. They were fantastic, very insightful. So just one last question before we go. So this is for the artists that are watching. What advice would you give an artist in regards to a demo tape? So what qualities do you look for? Does Dre look out for? Or any of the other people you work for? What are the main qualities of a demo that you look for?
Okay, first, appreciate for y'all having me. I enjoyed the conversation. And I would tell like the younger artists, be prepared. You know, be able to accept criticism if criticism comes. But mostly really just be prepared and be good. Know that you're good before you try to step in this rap. No, now I do know the youth expectations of the youth is a little different nowadays, where they might listen to another artist that they believe, well, they just did this or they just did, like they didn't care when they did this. That don't mean you shouldn't.
Is lyricism a key component of what you look for?
Not necessarily. Bottom line is know how to write a song. Know how to write a song. It's not about like lyrics, how like lyrical gymnastics, how many times you can flip something, you know what I mean? Like it's not about that all the time. You know what I'm saying? So it's about knowing how to write a song, knowing how to start from one point and get a person up to an ending, knowing how to start a song and end a song correctly. And whatever the content is, to be able to get that message across that everybody will understand.
So if someone out there were to send a demo tape to you or Dr. Dre, what's the most important thing you look for?
It's gonna take a while to answer that. The most important thing that I would say that I'll look for, confidence. You know, but just because you got confidence don't make us dope. But I want to say confidence because you got to be able to feel yourself. Like we drive off your energy, but some people will have good energy and it's not good. You get what I mean? So
it's low vibrational.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know, and don't misinterpret confidence with ego or cockiness. You know what I mean?
So that's very important. So that's something you look for in the person. What about the music itself?
Music itself got to be good. Good. I'm talking about good in some way, shape, or form. I don't care if you came in and played a country record. The country record got to be good. You came in and played a rock record, got to be good. You came in and played a heavy metal record, got to be good. Rap record, got to be good. R&B, got to be good. Classical, got to be good. Jazz, got to be good. It is what it is.
For example, rap, in order for a rap song to meet the standard of you guys and to get Dre's attention, so lyricism, something you guys look for, the ability for an artist to write a hook.
The ability of writing a song with concepts. Songs are concepts. You know, just not a whole lot of words that rhyme.
So mainly just concepts,
you know?
like stories.
Well, I'm just saying, like, know how to actually songwrite. You know, most good songwriters are concepts. I said this last night to one of my friends, and I know I don't want to take too long, but you can dissect this. I had a conversation with one of my friends last night over the mental capacity of the youth now, where they're doing songs that's like a minute long because they can't stand listening to a song longer than a minute. The time span in their brain is short. The short span of, you know, right? Now, my analogy to that will be, have you ever watched a 15-minute motion picture? Never. Batman movies is usually 2 hours. It's a change. So you get what I'm saying? So exactly what you just said. So if you go to the movies and you're watching the movie, the director and the writers keep you involved. So when you got a song that's a minute long, minute 20, that means the artist couldn't keep you involved that long. That means that they're writing a piece of shit, a well put together piece of shit.
Not something that captures and engages the audience.
Yeah. So when you're talking about, oh, that song's too long, my attention span is not there. Yeah, because what you're hearing right now can't keep your attention span. It's just like a movie. I mean, these kids are still doing records and doing videos behind it, right?
Yep.
Still doing videos. So that's like a short movie to your song, right? So if your video is only a minute long, that means you can't keep the attention of somebody longer than a minute because you're not writing nothing good enough to keep you longer than a minute.
There's no time to elaborate on the concept.
Well, if you're writing something that someone wants to hear more of, that's where it goes. It's like writing a book. Are you writing a 100-page book or a 500-page book or a 30-minute book or a 30-page book, right?
Yeah.
When you got a good novel, those that do read, when you got a novel and it's 500 pages and you start from one and you can't wait to get to the end to see the outcome, usually that author is a good author, right? So what's the difference between that and music? It's the writer. Now you have to realize that you do get paid upon time. The longer you have a video and the longer the song is, the more money you make off of it. Not saying go out there and do 5, 6, 7, 8-minute songs. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying if your attention span is short, 9 times out of 10, that artist is writing bullshit. So you understand what I'm saying? Then you have things called prolific artists, which are the Kendrick Lamars, the J. Cole's. These dudes are prolific. A lot of their songs are not just a minute.
No, heavy concepts, unique, different.
We got a slogan called "Let's bring the third verse back." That's a concept that we hope one day can happen again.
Yeah.
Can we bring the third verse back, or are you just doing a verse, a hook, and a verse, and the song is done? That's okay. If it's a party record, if it's that, but if it's a concept, and then if you think about it, the people that make concepts that have stories, about in their records, those are the ones that have longevity. Lil Wayne, T.I., Eminem, you know what I mean? Kendrick, J. Cole, Scarface, Snoop Dogg, you name them, Outkast, Big Sean. Let me throw Big Sean up in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Schoolboy Q. They be having songs. They have concepts to their songs.
I'll also throw Killer Mike
So they're
into
telling
that
the
list as
story.
well.
Killer Mike too. Yeah. For those that hate on Killer Mike at this point. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. Those usually last longer. Then you got artists that I won't name, kind of, that only does singles. Every now and then they put a single out, which is cool. But they obviously can't make an album or sell an album. Nipsey sold an album. You know what I mean? Hate that he's rest in peace now. I'm saying his album sold 6 million copies. Every single song on that album is dope. Every single song on Nip's album is dope. Every last one.
I agree 100%.
Yep, and he said something in every single record.
100%.
So who's that? I throw Drake up in there. Drake, he talks some shit on his records. Give it to him. Rick Ross, same thing.
Rick Ross, you'd throw him in that list too?
Yeah, I'm throwing artists that are prolifically successful. Kanye.
Yep.
Name me an album that Kanye put out that he wasn't talking shit on. Real shit. I'll wait for it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We can go back and just say Jesus Walks, and he made Jesus Walks a fucking movie.
Yeah. My personal favorite.
Remember? Yeah, I'm just saying every song that Kanye writes is some type of concept story, which makes his fan base loves him. It's not just a song, just a regular song, and I don't even know, how long is your song gonna last? 2 months, a couple of weeks. You want to go back to some of those songs.
You want a song that lasts decades. eternity even.
Have you ever had a book and you read the book twice?
I have not many, but a couple.
Not many, exactly.
Not many.
Not many. But ones that you said, you know what, I'm going to read another 500 pages. It had to be good if you did that. Because it takes a long time to read. And you put the little thing in there and get back to it later.
Bookmark, it's
Right?
It's a lot of personal time.
Okay, so it's the same thing with a record in a sense, to me, in my opinion. So to finalize it out, I think artists need to know what they're doing, know what they're selling, know what they're trying to portray. Every artist can't be a prolific artist, but if you make party music, make sure that people are able to party. Party music, you get great hooks that move people. So it's different ways of writing records, but make sure that you know how to write songs.
Make sure you know
That's
how.
the most important thing.
Make sure you know how to capture that concept.
Yep. Know how to write a good song. Know how to write a good hook. Doesn't have to be a story. You know what I mean? But if it's a feel good, if it's a backyard boogie record, a summertime at the barbecue record, gotta have a good hook.
Silk, again, just like to say thank you for coming on board, sharing your stories, sharing your knowledge. You're an absolute legend in the game, my friend. As I said, 25 plus years experience. You've worked with some of the elite of the elite. You've been the mastermind behind some of the best hip hop records out there. So you're a true legend of the game, my friend. So thank you very much for coming on and being the first guest of Business Corner. So thank you very much, mate. It's an honor.
Appreciate it, man. I'm glad you took the time out, asked me a few things, and do it again whenever you need to do it.
Anytime, my friend, anytime. We'll definitely get you back on.
All right. You guys have a good one out there.